Hey there, welcome. Welcome to Ask the Champs. We would love to just answer some questions. We got some slides, we got some things going on, but we want to really answer your questions. So jump in the comments if you're watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Please, this is your opportunity to ask questions. So, Mark, I got some slides here, little condensed version, but here are some slides.
Aha.
Hey, check it out. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, some little background here. Look, we have been coaching people in the speech contest for years. And we had in 2020, 35,000 people competed, 105 semifinalists, 10 finalists. We had 2 of our stage time members in the finals. 2021, we had 2 finalists in the finals. In 2022, we had 5 semifinalists. That was 17%. That's huge. And 3 finalists. So again, if you're watching here, please, we see that some people are just jumping on. Thank you. Please ask a question. Put it in the comments. Okay. Thank you. I will show that comment, but I'm not sure what it says. So please, thank you for doing that, but I cannot read English only. But thank you. Thanks for joining us live. Look, hey, here are 3 quick secrets while we wait for some questions to come in. So, and our 9 do's and don'ts. So secret number 1, finding and clarifying your message. We see this over and 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 over again, that people aren't clear. Let me give you an example, how to start a speech. All right, well, let me just do this, Mark, and then we'll jump on, answer that one. So clarifying technically finding your message, Chav, this is the key to figuring out how to open. You got to figure this out first. So I was traveling to Nashville for speaking at a convention. I was tired. I was exhausted. I checked in. I went up the elevator. I came out of the elevator, and this is what I saw. This is the sign that I saw. I'm like, what? But here's what and this relates to your speech. Here's what I realized, that this is what most speeches are like. But somebody from the hotel designed this and somebody else approved this, and both of them forgot the intention. The intention is when Darren comes out of the hotel, I literally go to the hotel elevator, I see and I know, do I go left or do I go right? That's it. Do I go left or do I go right? That's all I want to know. So here's what we have to do as coaches is help people make it clearer. Make it clearer. So Mark, before we go into the do's and don'ts, this question just came in, and I stop sharing.
It says, how to start a speech contest. I'm guessing how to start a contest speech. Well, here's a thought for you. How do I start a good speech? People say, well, you need a strong, powerful opening to get their attention. That's only partially true. I believe a good opening will not only get their attention, but also make a connection to your subject matter. Darren in his contest asked, do you remember a moment when a brilliant idea came into your head and it began to intrigue you, he drew you in, and he quickly applied the story of his fall to the audience as well. But here's a key for you, Chav, and for everybody else. It's kind of cool if your speech title sets you up for your opening. If your speech title becomes an opportunity for you to draw the audience in and get them right away, not only get their attention, but get them engaged. So think about a contest opening that isn't Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, good afternoon. That's so cliche. We don't recommend you do that. I hope you find that helpful. Okay.
Amen. Thank you, Mark. Mark, do you remember your opening?
I can recall my 2 final openings. In 94, my opening was "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." It was a quotation. In 95, I said, "You never get a second chance to make a first impression." That phrase is fairly common, right? But at first look, I gave a quotation and I said to the audience, that is fairly common. So they know they can relate to it. However, you never get a second chance a second chance was in my title. And my ending, yes, everyone deserves a second chance. So the title set me up. The opening, I used it, and I closed with it as well.
Excellent. And another comment came in, Dwayne Francois. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but thank you for doing it in English. We very much appreciate that. Not exactly sure what you're asking. So meanwhile, going back to this, Mark, our 9 do's and don'ts of the speech contest. Mark and I have been coaching people for 2 decades in the speech contest. So what are our 9 do's and don'ts? So here are the list of don'ts first. Don't think your message is clear enough. We just talked about that in secret 1, but don't think it's clear enough. Most people do. Most people bring us speeches and they're like, well, I'm done. I just need to make it funny. And that's your position. But we've seen so many people. We have an event next week called Get Coached to Speak, where we have people come for years. We've been teaching this. We've never had anyone come with a perfect speech. In fact, just the opposite. But guess what? That's the process. That is the process. And Mark and I, we get coached too. We get the power of coaching. So don't give away your message in the title. We see this over and over and over again. Mark?
Yeah, and please, it's difficult to implement all feedback. When you think about it, you go to a contest or to a club meeting and you test your speech out, excuse me, and you say, I need your feedback. And someone says, oh, turn left and say this at that point in your speech. And someone else says, no, don't say that. Say this instead. And someone says, no, leave it the way it is. And before long, you get 4 different ideas, all of which seem valid, and you end up saying, I don't know, I'm confused. You simply cannot implement all feedback. Here's the good news. You will know in some cases exactly what works for you. You'll feel it, you'll implement it. But you can't implement all the feedback because sometimes feedback will be contradictory. The key becomes, how do you determine what's the best feedback to follow? Aha, we're going to answer that today too.
So don't imitate your favorite champ. We see this over and over and over again. Don't imitate your favorite champ. Just saying, we see it over and over again. I've had people imitate me. It's just very common. Be inspired by them, model them, but don't imitate them. Please, please, please. We need your story, not a copy of somebody else. And we see this, Mark, a lot. Well, that speech was 10, 20 years ago. No one's going to remember. If you're a Toastmaster, half the audience has been around for 10 or 20 years, and they don't forget the great speeches. So number 1, why would you copy a bad one? But number 2, look, we need your story, your way. You can't be authentic regurgitating someone else's story.
And by the way, Darren, speaking of 10 or 20 years, I see that my friend Floyd Westermeyer is watching, and Floyd and I go back to 1994, my first Toastmasters convention at the Galt House in St. Louis, Missouri. And she actually sang, "See you in St. Louis, Louis." And it was just great to hear from her. And also, Jack Park is watching. Good to see you both. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I know Floyd. That's awesome. Hey, Floyd.
Yeah, she's wonderful, man.
Don't focus on winning. Don't focus on winning. I know it may seem counterintuitive because it's a contest. Well, of course you want to win. Well, yeah, maybe. But here's the lesson that I learned from Mark, who was my coach, if you don't know that part of the story. When your intention is winning a speech contest or getting paid, that's short-sighted. What Mark taught me was, look, focus on the audience results. If you want to get paid, you get paid because you've impacted the audience. So step 1, the intention needs to be about the audience. The side effect is you win a speech contest, you get paid. Dollars follow impact. Dollars follow impact. Trophies follow impact, whatever way you want to look at it. So when you make it, the audience, are they different because they heard you? Are they talking about themselves because they heard you? Not about how great you are. Have they received your message? Do they have a new perspective? Mark?
Yeah. Overused topics, fear, goals, and love. There are similar topics everyone knows they can talk about. And the concern we have here is this. Very often title tells you 5 ways to conquer fear. how to reach your goals by next Tuesday, right? Love is all you need. Very often, an audience hears those titles and their brains say, oh, I've heard that before. They take a mental detour and they check out. Never give the audience a reason to take a mental detour. And look, your life is rich and full of material that's powerful enough to be effective without being a standard concept that we all talk about. Look back over the last several years of Toastmasters speech contests. Aaron Beverly won with a story about a wedding in India. Mona Smith about a failed marriage. President Vasilev, a flat tire. I spoke about a Disney movie, and Darren talked about a subway shop failure. That was not fear, goals, and love, but they were real life situations to which an audience could relate. The judges agreed, and all of us became world champions. You don't need standard motivational messages to be effective. Indeed, I say try to avoid them and be more authentic.
Thanks, Mark. Don't worry about the speaking order.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah. Oh man, that's so funny. I shouldn't say it's funny. I can recall being in a contest, Darren, where somebody was one of the contestants. We had a draw, and as an individual who didn't make the briefing, and the contest chair said, "Well, individual is not here. I will draw for them, so they'll get a slot." And when they got to this particular person, they said, "Oh, I drew number one. I need to make an objection." What do you mean? It's not fair that somebody who's not here has a better speaking position than I do at number one. And right there, they told me that they thought they couldn't win from slot number one. The contest chair said, draw was made. We'll see you all at the contest. Everyone left the briefing room, and I stopped the individual and said, listen, I should never do this to you because I want to win the contest as well. I've been speaker number one before. It can be scary depending on your mindset. But listen, you have one job. Be so good that all of us are worried we can't hit the bar you have set for all of us. They looked at me without a word. They turned and they walked out of the room. I was left standing by myself. And I just said to myself, 1 down, 7 to go. Because in their mind, I can't win from speaking slot number one, and somebody who's not even here got a better slot than I did. That told you their mindset. They're not set to win. They expect to lose. And guess what? They didn't even place. I'm just saying, we're telling you the truth of the story. It happened to me some years ago, many, many years ago.
Yeah. Hello, Mykola. I don't know if I'm I know you. I don't know if I remember if I'm pronouncing it right, but thanks for watching on YouTube. Much appreciated. So don't worry about the speaking order. We've seen people lose the day before when they're drawing numbers. I studied 10 years of contest videos, and literally in those 10 years, 1990 to 2000, I saw 2 people won in the number one spot. And I paused and I was like, okay, it's possible. Have to be really good and set the bar high, but it's possible. And so I had that same doubt everybody else did, or many other people did, but I convinced myself that it was possible by studying past contests. I studied 10 years of contests. That's 90 world-class speeches. And I watched it over and over again to see what was the difference between the person who came in first and the person who came in second. So again, if you're watching us live here, we're just going to be on for about another 10 minutes or so. Please ask your questions. We'd love to answer questions, but since we don't have any questions at the moment, just wanted to thank you. Thank you for following on YouTube. Don't over dramatize or go overboard on props. When done properly.
Prop early. I see what you did there, Darren. Prop early. Nice.
Properly. When props are done properly, they're going to either get us to relate to the problem that you're there to help us solve, or reinforce the message. One or the other. Either make it relatable or make it walk-outable.
Walk-outable. I love it.
Nice. Thank you. I'll pat myself on the back. But don't go overboard in it. It's got to reinforce the message. Otherwise, it becomes you create a distraction. And then don't focus on humor or getting laughs. Again, people come to us. My speech is done. I just need to make it funny. Let's make it awesome before we make it funny. And I understand that people think they're done, because they may not have had world-class feedback. That's why we encourage get world-class feedback for sure. So those are the don'ts. You can go back and watch the replay. If you want to take a screenshot, please don't share this on social media. We'd love to have you share this video, but please don't take screenshots and share that.
Thank you.
This is what we do. So we're offering this for free. So what do you do? Have a foundational phrase. What do you want them talking about in the hallway after the contest? That's the win. Make that win a higher goal. What are they saying? And Mark and I have been traveling the world for years, speaking at Toastmasters. Here's a phrase that most commonly heard in the hallway. I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. Dhananjaya Hadarachi, he gave this unbelievable story, and people still are talking in the hallways about it. So what are you guys up to? We're here to answer questions. So if you got a question, let us know. But what's that sticky phrase? 10 words or fewer. Give it some rhythm. Rhyme is okay. But what's that sticky phrase? Mark and I teach this. We have an event coming up in 2 weeks called Unforgettable Presentations, where this is part of what we teach. Make it your goal to have that phrase. What's your message? But then we want to take the message and encapsulate, put a handle on it so people can take it home with them. Number 2, Mark.
A guru who taught you. You can't be your own guru. You don't learn by just, it occurs to you. It is an individual who gives you the wisdom that you then pass on to us. Here's the cool part. The guru need not be a human being. It could be a pet. It could be a river. It could be the wind in the trees, a little baby, or even a stuffed bear like Warwick the bear, used by Olivia Schofield very effectively in the 2011 Toastmasters Speech Contest Championship. Whatever the source of inspiration may be, let that be the guru. In my case, it was a Disney cartoon movie called Beauty and the Beast. That was my guru. Have a guru who taught you and you pass it on to us. Aaron?
All right. Think beyond the contest. Dhananjaya took a TEDx speech and turned it into a world championship speech. Mark, you took your world champion speech, the 7 minutes, and you expanded it to 1 hour, where you teach kids. Over 1 million kids around the world have heard you speak live. Tell that. And it Emmy nominated. Mark, tell us about it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it was a 7-minute speech about Beauty and the Beast, and I listened to it talk. I thought to myself, I first got the idea by telling my kids about it. I began delivering in junior high school, middle schools, and high schools, kids ages 12 to 18 across North America. And I still get asked to deliver that speech today. And the first time I gave it was in 1995, 28 years ago. You have no idea the value your speech may have. So here's one thought for everyone who's going to enter a Toastmaster speech contest. Don't think you must give the speech once and leave it. What value could that speech have to a broader audience out there? I think beyond the contest, develop it, give it again, and use it to touch people.
Thank you, Mark. All right. So write a 6-minute speech and deliver it in 7. We see so many people stressed out because of the time. They're so worried about the time. Well, you're not going to worry if you write a 6-minute speech. But I need to say this, and I need to say that, and I need to say that. Well, that's the problem. You're too close to your own content. What is the powerful part? You got to drop the other things, but you don't know what it is. Highly recommend getting a qualified coach. Understand the judge's guide. Understand the judge's guide. Don't be ruled by it, but be aware. Go give a test speech at different Toastmaster clubs. Give them the judge's form and see where you're scoring low, and then focus on that. Be unique, but not over the top. Be unique, but not over the top. We got to stand out. When I was working on mine, I asked David Brooks, Mark's mentor. I said, I'm working on this fall. And he's like, well, I'm not your coach, but here's what I'll say is you need to stand out. You may win by it. You may lose by it, but you need to stand out. Great advice. Mark?
Be authentic and vulnerable. Don't become a super speaker on stage. Be who you are. Trust me, if you go back and look at the last few years of Toastmasters Speech Contest winners, you'll see they were authentic. They told their stories. They were vulnerable. Ramona Smith talked about a marriage that had failed. I mean, what's her name? Birdie Price, her life at 40 years old, falling apart. Then Njaya being arrested as a teenager. We share our vulnerabilities and our honest, our authenticity. And I believe authenticity plus vulnerability equals credibility. And the audience wants to connect with you on a human level. So be authentic, be vulnerable, and be credible. Darren?
Thank you, Mark. And have an audience focused message. Mark always says it's your story, but it's for the audience.
Right.
So we need to add the most powerful word you can use in the English language. I know Mykola.
Yeah.
Mykola. I know you speak in Russian, which is amazing. I can't do that. So I don't know what it is in Russian, but in English, one of the most powerful words you can use is you or your. And in my speech, I had 34 you or your statements, 34 in 7.5 minutes, 34. That's that's 4 every minute. Now, we got to be careful how we use it. And the audience didn't notice, but they felt I brought them closer every time I used that phrase. And have a memorable title. Have that title that is memorable, that sets up the listening. Don't worry too much about the title, but have one that sets up the listening. Those are our 9 do's and don'ts. Here's big secret number 3. I didn't get this. I didn't realize that it would be overwhelming to get feedback from so many people. At the lower levels, I never made it past division before. But at the higher levels, I never made it past the point where all of a sudden I got, overwhelmed with feedback. So think about this. Have you ever gotten feedback where one person says go left, the other person says go right? Who do you listen to? So here's a quick tip on this. Very important. There are 2 kinds of feedback. So number 1, here's what I thought and felt. Everyone is qualified to tell you that. Number 2, here's how to make it better. Only a qualified coach is qualified to tell you how to make it better. Great example. In my championship speech, I fell on my face, literally, intentionally. But when I was in my practice speeches, here's what I heard over and over again. You were down too long. I was uncomfortable. You should get up sooner. You were down too long. I was uncomfortable. You should get up sooner. What? Well, here's what it is. We need to break down each line. You were down too long. Thought and felt. Everyone qualified. I was uncomfortable. Thought and felt. Everyone qualified. You should get up sooner. Want, want, want. Be careful. That's coaching. See, when I brought this advice to Mark, everyone's telling me I should get up sooner. I should get up sooner. Mark, what'd you say?
I said stay down longer.
What?
Yes.
But Mark, they're all telling me I should get up sooner.
Because they're uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
Well, yes, of course. But see, the speaker's job is not to make the audience comfortable. It is more so to make the audience uncomfortable so they will change. That's what we do as speakers. We have a responsibility to have value and impact on the audience. In that case, staying down longer will make them uncomfortable for a good reason.
Nice. Thank you, Mark. Well, Mark, coming to the end of our time here. Let me just see what I had next. Oh, that's it. Boom. Perfect. So Mark Brown, if they're watching this video, what's the best advice you would give a speech contestant over coffee?
Honestly, I'd say get a hold of somebody who can help you and guide you through the process with experience. Get a qualified coach to help you. I know I did. It changed my trajectory and helped me to win a title 28 years ago. And I believe coaching can help you too, didn't it?
Absolutely, Mark. I had struggled for 7 years in 4 Toastmaster clubs, trying to figure it out on my own. Stage time. Not a bad philosophy, but that wasn't going to get me to world class because I was DIYing it. You know, no one becomes great alone. And if you do, that's the exception. For most of us commoners, we need that guidance. We need that perspective from a higher level. So Mark Brown, final thoughts.
We'd love to serve you at some point in time. You know how to get hold of us. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn. But listen, whatever you do, become better by investing in yourself. And hopefully we'll see you on a big stage somewhere, online somewhere, and say, yes, They learned because they adapted our principles and have become better because of it. We want you to be unforgettable. Take care of yourself. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Yeah, so check out getaspeakingcoach.com if you want one-on-one coaching, if you want to work with Mark, me, or one of our other coaches, or check out Stage Time. We have weekly coaching calls where we can literally give you direct feedback on your speech. We've been doing this for 2 decades. We love what we do, and we'd love you to be part of our Stage Time family.
Links are there. Check them out, okay? The links are there.